Hi everybody, happy Friday. Happy Friday before March break. I am feeling a lot better. I'm still a little stuffy and you can probably hear it in my voice. I'm going to try really hard not to sniffle and snuffle through this video. But I am doing better. I was down and out for most of the week, but feeling much better today and really excited that March break starts today. And I have a whole week off of school so I can focus on just my one fun job. And I'm excited to show you these projects today. Hi Elfie, happy Friday, happy weekend. So these are our projects for today. We are focusing on the piece of cake bundle and I will bring that in for you. So we have the stamp set, which is awesome. Tons of great sentiments and awesome cake images, as well as some toppers. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. And the cake tray. Okay, and then of course the coordinating punch. Now, right now, this punch is not orderable, okay? It was so popular, they sold out of it within the first month of the catalog. However, these are scheduled to be back in stock. Oh, thanks, Elfie. I am very happy to be feeling better. It's no fun being sick. These are scheduled to come back into stock a week from Monday, okay? So if you have not yet got this bundle, this is one that you're going to want. It is awesome for not only birthdays, but for any occasion that calls for cake, right? So if this is one that you haven't yet got and you would like to get it, you can always email me your order and I will hold it until the items are back in, the punch is back on orderable status, and I can order those for you as soon as they get back into stock. Okay. All right. So I'll just show you quickly where you find it in the catalogs. This is in the Occasions Catalog. It's on page 18. All right. So it's got our stamp set and the punch in the bundle, and the bundle is only $41.25 in Canada. So that's a pretty good deal for a really, really versatile stamp set. What I love about this one is that it's got both images and sentiments, which makes it great for someone who is maybe just starting out in crafting and doesn't have a whole lot of supplies. You can get a lot of mileage out of this set. All right. Okay, now, before we get started, I need to do another little public service announcement here. I'm going to get these out of the way. Many of you, I hope, are aware that we have our Celebration Coordination promotion happening right now. And that is a series of dies that coordinate with several of the stamp sets that are available for free during Celebration. So the dies are for purchase. There are while supplies last, and when Stampin' Up says while supplies last, they mean it. The Hop Around framelits, the ones that coordinate with the fun Hoppy Together stamp set in the Celebration brochure, has sold out already, okay? And I have it on very good authority that the next one to go is going to be the Call Me Cupcake dies. Okay, so this is the die set that coordinates with the Hello Cupcake stamp set. Okay, there's your cupcake parts, but it's got all kinds of extras. So it's got the cake dome and the plate, and then some fun little toppers for your cupcake. So this is on low inventory. So if you are wanting this and you haven't ordered it yet, I'm going to tell you right now, stop watching this video. Go online and order it because it probably won't last the weekend. Okay, you can come back and watch catch the video later, but I don't want you to miss out on these if you haven't already got them. Okay, because they are going to sell out very soon. All right. Okay, I'm gonna get this out of the way now, and we're gonna get to stamping. So the first card we're gonna work on today is this fun one. This is one that I actually designed for my card buffet actually I had 3 events last weekend. I did 2 card buffets and then a private class, and we did this card at all of them. And it's fun because it's great for anybody, right? Orange is fun. It's a nice, bright, happy color, and it works for just about anyone. So I'm gonna bring in my little basket of goodies here, and we're gonna get going on it. All right, so my color palette for this is really pretty straightforward. I just used Mango Melody, Pumpkin Pie, and my Memento Black. All right, nice that you don't have a ton of supplies needed for this one. Get all my little bits and bobs out of here. So to start, I'm gonna actually do my stamping. Oh, where'd my white piece go? Hang on. This is what happens when you use an old card kit. Here we go. So we're going to do our stamping on the background first, okay? Now, the background I actually stamped using a really fun texture set from the annual catalog. It's called Artisan Textures. It has 5 different sort of texturizing stamps. So for this card, I used this one and this one, okay? So I'm going to show you how I did that. There are my 2 stamps. And why does this table feel smaller than normal? I'm going to start with my Mango Melody, and you can see this has been used a lot at my class that I did on Sunday. So I'm going to ink up my stamp, and I'm going to stamp this sort of smudge image. Once up there, wow, that is a dry ink pad. I should have inked this before, but that's okay. And then another one down here. Okay, I'm not going to worry about the middle because that's going to get covered up with our cake image. Okay, then I'm going to take some pumpkin pie ink and this sort of spatter image. I'm going to ink that up, and I'm just going to stamp a few spatters. Again, very dry ink pad. Let's try that again. That's better. And then we'll do a couple down here, just like that. Okay, easy peasy, quick and easy background. Okay, all right, next I'm going to take some twine. So this is some of the silver baker's twine that is in the annual catalog, and this is one where you can use twine. You don't have to know how to tie a bow, but you all know how to tie bows, right? Because I've been showing you for weeks. So all I did is I put a glue dot on the back side of my panel, and I'm now going to wrap and sort of crisscross. I'm not worrying about being super neat. Okay, it's just kind of going willy-nilly, whichever way it happens to fall. And then I'm going to take another glue dot and put it on the back of my panel. Nope. Oh, it's cold in here again. I had the space heater running while I was waiting for 5 o'clock to roll around so that it would warm up in here a little bit, but clearly my glue dots didn't get the memo. There we go. All right, so again, you can play around with the placement of those, but it's just kind of whichever way, okay? You don't have to try and be careful or neat or tidy about that. Then I'm going to go ahead and glue that onto my mat. So just to give you some dimensions, this white panel is 4 by 5 1/4, and my Mango Melody panel is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Okay, so it's 1/8 of an inch bigger. And all I'm going to do is take a bit of fast fuse and throw that on there. And we'll just center this. So this is going to have a very narrow border. It's a 1/16 of an inch border, just like that. Okay. Then I'm going to take my card base. My card base is thick whisper white. It is 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and I've scored it in the middle at 5 1/2. So I'm going to fold that card base in half along the score line. And run my bone folder along there. And then I'm going to add some fast fuse on the back of that. And we're going to stick that down right on there. Okay, so that's my card base done and done. Quick and easy, right? All right, next I have a piece of scrap whisper white cardstock, and I have my cake and my cake tray. Okay, these are 2 images from the stamp set. I'm going to use some Memento black ink. I'm going to stamp my tray down at the bottom. Okay, and then I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to stamp my cake at the other end. Make sure that's inked. There we go. Okay, and I'll show you why when we go to punch. First, we're going to do some coloring. So I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Blends, and I'm going to start by coloring my cake tray, and I'm just going to use some of the light smoky slate. Now this is getting a little bit dry too because this has had a lot of use. I'm going to have to order another one of these guys because it's starting to fade. All of my markers get used in my classes and events, and they don't last as long as they might if it's just you using them. So I often have to replace them, but that's okay. That's part of doing this business, right? I had to decide when I am a little bit OCD. I like my products to be nice and tidy and not get broken or damaged. And when I decided to be a demonstrator, I had to come to grips with the fact that things would get broken and damaged. And I had to understand that these are not mine, they are my businesses. And it's okay for things to get damaged. Okay, so there's my cake plate. All I did is I didn't worry about shading this one. I just used my light smoky slate. Okay, but we are going to do some shading on the cake. So first thing we're going to do is color the bottom half of the cake with the light pumpkin pie. So I'm coloring the whole bottom half with the light. Over the whole thing. Okay, just like that. This is running just a touch because I didn't let it dry very long, but that's okay. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with my dark pumpkin pie. I'm going to color the band at the bottom all the way across, and I'm going to go about halfway up. Okay, then I'm going to come back in with my light, and I like to do this upside down because I like to start over the dark so I can blend that out, and then I'm going to pull some of that dark color up into the lighter area. Okay, and that's going to give me an ombre effect. Okay, and then I'm going to come back with the dark and I'm going to color my polka dots. So I have the dark orange polka dots. Just like that. Okay, so there's the bottom half of my cake done. Quick and easy. Okay, and now I'm going to come in with my Mango Melody markers. I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to start with my light. I'm going to color the whole top half of the cake with my light. So I'm going to go over the whole thing, color it all in. And then I'm going to come back with my dark. I'm going to color the band at the bottom with the dark. And then I'm going to color every other stripe. Okay, and that's just going to give me a bit of a tone-on-tone look for my stripes. Okay, easy peasy, right? There's small images in this stamp set, so they don't take a really long time to color. All right, so now I'm going to come in with my punch, and I'm going to start by punching my cake tray. So I'm going to slide that in until I can see it in the window and get it all lined up and pop it out. All right, then I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to slide my cake in. Okay, and now you can see why we stamped it the way we did, right? That gives us enough paper to hold on to so we can reach down to the bottom, and it also leaves us enough space between the images so that we don't end up punching inadvertently one of the images. Okay, so there's my cake and there's my tray. Easy peasy. All right, now before we glue these on, I'm going to bring in this oval. This is die cut using the Stitched Shapes framelits, and I have my little candles here. I'm going to go ahead and stamp those. So using my Memento black again, and I'm going to stamp these right at the top of the oval, right up there. Okay, and again, I'm going to give them a little bit of color. I'm going to use my dark mango on the candles themselves. This one is, I think I'll use this end. It's a little bit finer. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little bit of the pumpkin for my flames. There we go. Okay, so we have some candles. Now we need a cake. So when I glued this on, you want to make sure that you glue this in such a way that you're going to have, you know, some candles showing at the top of your cake. So that's why I suggested stamping the candles right up at the top. And you just kind of want to lay it out there. So you want your candles to be centered and you want your tray to be centered and straight. Okay, so then I'm going to come in with just a little bit of Tombow on the back of my cake. And I'll put that on. And again, the Tombow I like when I'm trying to get something straight and centered. It gives me some wiggle time. And then I'll use a little bit on my tray. And again, I'm going to get that centered exactly where I want it. Just like that. Okay, now I have a pumpkin pie scalloped oval that is just a teeny bit bigger than my white one. Okay, that is cut with the Layering Ovals framelits. And I'm going to add a little bit of Tombow on the back of there. And stick that down. Okay, and again, the Tombow is fun because it gives you a little wiggle room so you can get that centered nicely. I'll move some things out of the way here and bring in my card. So now I can go ahead and glue this on. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to use some dimensionals. We'll just throw a couple of these. I don't like, when I put dimensionals on when I've got twine, I don't like putting one in the middle because I find that it bumps over the twine, right? So I find if I put it kind of top and bottom, then I don't get that little hump under the twine. Hi Irene, how are ya? How's retirement treating you? I'm sure it can't be bad. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and glue that down just like that. And then the last thing I need to do is stamp my sentiment. Now, my ladies at my classes were a little bit nervous about stamping the sentiment on the front of their card directly, but if you screw it up, it's easy to cover with a label, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and stamp "Cake is the answer," centered underneath my oval in the black ink, and that is it. Oh, no, it's not. I forgot my rhinestones. Where are my rhinestones? Oh, you know what? I don't think there were any in this kit. That's okay. So on this one, I just added some extra little bling on here. You could use rhinestones, you could use enamel shapes, you could use pearls, anything to add a little extra sparkle and bling. Okay, but that's that. Isn't that quick and easy? Now, I'll just show you what I did on the original on the inside. I'm not going to take the time to do that today, but I stamped another one of the smudges on the inside. And then, yes, Tanya, always bling. And then I stamped "Who cares what the question is?" So remember, the front said "Cake is the answer." Who cares what the question is? Happy birthday. So fun, 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 quick and easy, and done already. All right, let's get that out of the way. Put these stamps away. I'm gonna need the handles for another one. Get these out of here. Okay, make some space here. And we're going to bring in our next card. So the next one we're going to do is this one. This is another one that is really quick and easy. It has a very little bit of coloring, even less than the last one, because the cake image is quite textured on this one. So I'm going to show you how I put that one together. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm still not quite back to normal. My color scheme for this one is Granny Apple Green and Coastal Cabana, and then of course the Memento Black for the sentiment. So I'm going to just get this out of the way. Okay, grab all our bits. So we're first going to assemble our background. So here I have a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of Whisper White cardstock that I have embossed using the Oh My Stars embossing folder. This is a really fun one. It works for a lot of different occasions. It is in the annual catalog. And on here, I am going to adhere a piece of Granny Apple Green cardstock. So this is, I've got the wrong side facing up. Where's my inches? There we go. This is 3 inches by 4 inches. Okay, as is my DSP. This is from the How Sweet It Is. See the cupcakes and the suckers and candies on the other side? Okay, so these are both the same size, so I wouldn't be able to map this like this, but what you can do is offset them, and it creates kind of a fun, sort of whimsical look. Now, there are a couple of options. So if you look at my original, I offset the green, but I did the Coastal Cabana straight on, okay? You can, however, offset both if you like that look, okay? For me personally, I like having this straight so I have a point of reference to get everything else straight, okay? But if you do both kind of cockeyed, then the whole thing can be cockeyed and nobody will notice, which is kind of fun. So if getting things straight is a problem for you, that's your solution. Do everything purposely crooked and nobody will ever know. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of adhesive on the back of my Granny Apple Green cardstock. And I'm going to glue this down right about there. Then I'm going to do the same thing with my DSP. And this time I'm going to try really hard to get this straight. So I always find when I'm trying to glue straight and I have a crooked thing in the back, it can be really tricky. So use your grid paper to your advantage. Okay, so I'm kind of looking at the grid lines and the edges of my card to try and get that straight. Okay, just like that. Easy peasy, right? Right. Okay. Next, we are going to stamp our cake. So here I have one of the stitched rectangles. This is cut from Whisper White cardstock using the new stitched rectangles dies. And I'm going to first stamp my cake, or sorry, my cake tray, rather. I'm going to bring in my black ink again. This is the Memento. Okay, I am going to use the blends to color my cake tray. So I'm just going to stamp that right about there. Okay. And I'm going to color that using the same smoky slate marker. Where did I put it? There it is. That I did on the last card. Okay, so I'm just going to take a quick second, color that in. The nice thing about these markers is that they blend so beautifully and they color a nice solid color without seeing your brush strokes, right? When we use the Stampin' Up markers on a larger area like this, you're going to see your brush strokes unless you are working on watercolor paper. So the blends allow you to color and get a nice even layer of color without having to use specialty paper. Oh, I don't know if you guys can hear that. I have two little kitties sitting outside my door meowing because the door's closed and they can't get in. Can you hear that? I don't know if you can hear that. They're pretty loud. Stella's not very happy with me right now. All right, so there is my tray. Okay, now I can go ahead and stamp my cake. So this cake is, I'll just show you on the stamp set because it's kind of hard to see. This is this cake, so it's got a lot of texture, and that means there's not a lot of coloring required for this. Okay, so I'm going to stamp this in my Coastal Cabana. Where's Schmo? Schmo's upstairs, sleeping in the sun, living the life, getting spoiled because of his near-death experience. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp this. Now I want to make sure when I'm stamping that I'm actually, my cake is actually on the tray. So I actually try to overlap that thick black line a little bit, which is why I stamp the tray first, because I want to be able to see where the tray is. Does that make sense? Okay. So now I'm going to just add a little bit more color to my cake. So I'm going to take my Stampin' Up marker this time. So these are just our regular Stampin' Up markers. And I'm going to color the bands that are white right now. I'm going to color them in with the Coastal Cabana. And that's just going to define the cake a little bit more. And because it's such a small area, using the Stampin' Up marker is okay. You're not really going to see those brush strokes. There we go. Okay. Alrighty, now I need to stamp my candles. First I need to clean my stamp because I'm not going to be using black ink. And I don't want to contaminate my green pad. So we're just going to give that a quick scrub. And then I'm going to bring in my Granny Apple Green. And we're going to ink this up. And again, I'm going to stamp this, and I want to make sure my candles are touching my cake. So I'm trying to get right over top of this to make sure they are. Oh, I did it. It's hard to see when you're stamping off to the side. So now I'm going to take my Granny Apple Green Stampin' Up marker, and I'm going to fill in my candles just like this. Again, really quick coloring on this. Okay, and then I'm going to color my flames with Daffodil Delight. So all of these markers are in the Brights set, okay? So if you are interested in starting to build your collection of Stampin' Up markers, the Brights is a great one to start with because it gives you the whole rainbow of colors, okay? So there's my cake. Done. Easy, right? Okay, now I have a, how big is this? This is 2 inches by 3 1/4. So 2 by 3 1/4 in Granny Apple Green. And that is cut so that I can mat my stitched rectangle. Now I could have die cut a stitched rectangle, but I wanted a slightly smaller border than I would have had if I had done the die cut. Okay, so now I am going to put a little bit of Tombow on there. And we're going to center this right on here, like that. And then that's ready to get glued onto the front of my card. So remember how I said I like to have this straight? That is so that I can get this straight on the front of my card, okay? So I'm going to just take a little bit of Fast Fuse, and I'm going to adhere this. And having the polka dots on here really helps because you can use it as a guide. That's assuming your polka dot layer is straight. Okay, all right. So next, before we glue this onto our card front, we have to apply our ribbon, okay? Now, I've already gone ahead and tied this ribbon. What I did, actually, is I tied it around a bottle of Stampin' Mist, to be exact, and then slid it off. And this was so that it's actually a little ribbon saving tip. I wanted to have the look of the tied ribbon, but a lot of my ladies don't like to tie ribbon themselves. So this is a way to save yourself some ribbon. So what I did is I took and snipped that loop, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and stick that down so that the ribbon, the knot, is right at the base of the cake plate there. So I'll throw a glue dot on the back of that. Okay. And then I'm going to take and wrap the tails around the back side. Come on, stick, Mr. Glue Dot. There we go. 1 and 2. So what this effectively does is it keeps me from having to put ribbon all the way around the back side to tie. So it's a ribbon saving trick, and it means that I can tie it ahead of time for my ladies, and they are happy because they don't have to worry about trying to tie it. Okay, so now I'm ready to put this onto my card base. So here I have another piece of thick Whisper white cardstock. This is oriented a little bit differently. This one is cut to 5.5 by 8.5. So I basically took my 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock and I cut it in half in the middle. And then it is scored. So this is the 8.5 side. I scored it at 4.25. Okay, so I'm going to fold that in half along my score line, crisp it up with my bone folder, and then a little bit of fast fuse. This is not snail. It's definitely not snail. On the back of that, and then I can go ahead and glue this on. Now, I often get people asking me, why would you layer white on white? Why wouldn't you just emboss the front of your card? That's a good question. It is a matter of personal preference. I personally prefer to have the inside of my card clean. I don't want to see the embossed image on the inside of my card. Okay, so I like to have a layer. If I'm going to emboss on the front of my card, I like to have a layer so that the inside of my card is clean. You absolutely do not have to do that. You could totally emboss the front side or this base of your card and build this whole thing on the base of the card. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. The trick then becomes how you do your ribbon, because this ribbon has to get wrapped around the base. You could probably wrap it around these layers and that would work. Okay. All right. So the last thing I need to do on this card is stamp my sentiment. Now somewhere, here it is. I have a little bit of scrap and I have my duet banner punch. Now this is a punch that I often overlook and I wish that I didn't. I wish I used it more. So I'm going to show you. I'm using the happy birthday stamp from the piece of cake set. So it's this stamp, but it's straight, right? And you see how on here, this is a curved banner and my sentiment follows the curve. So I'm going to show you a little tip for how to get that look. So here I have my punch, okay? And on the back of the punch, it shows you the shape of the banner, right? So I'm going to put my block, oh, there's a glue dot on my block, look at that. I'm going to put my block right on top of the punch, okay? And then I'm going to take and put my stamp on, and I'm going to bend it as I go. The nice thing about these photopolymer stamps is that they are pliable. So I can bend it and mount it and it will stay put. So now when I go to stamp, look at that. I'm going to have a nice curved sentiment. So let's do it. Again, this is just some scrap left over from another project. So I'm going to ink up my happy birthday and stamp it on my scrap. And then I'm going to slide this into my punch, and I'm using the bottom one, the bottom banner, and center that image, and then pop it out. Whoopsie, there we go. Just like that. How easy is that? There's my banner, okay, and then that's ready to go on the front of my card. So I'm going to add just a couple of dimensionals on the back of that, and these banners are sized just right to fit our standard dimensionals. And that's just going to pop right on there, like that. Easy peasy, right? Nice, fun, happy, bright card. All right, 2 down, 1 to go. We are going to take a break from birthday cards, and we're actually going to do a wedding card because, well, weddings are all about cake, right? Oh, I guess there's a ceremony too, but the cake's the best part. So here is the third card we're going to make. And this one, again, we're going to bring in the Stampin' Blends. I just need to make some space here. I got too much stuff. There we go. All right. So this time, we are going to stamp. And I made a really happy discovery when I was designing this card. We are always told when stamping and images that we are going to color with the Stampin' Blends that we need to use the Memento Black. However, I have discovered that our basic gray classic ink does not run when we color with the Stampin' Blends. So that means I can get a softer image. So you see how this is nice and light? Okay, I wanted this to have a soft look. And if I'd stamped those in black, I wouldn't have gotten that, right? So the basic gray is just that much softer and it gives a really, really nice stamped image. All right, so I'm going to show you how I colored the cake. Now, I've already colored 2 of them because there are 3 on this card, and it does take a little bit of time, and I didn't want you sitting here until 7 o'clock tonight. So I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to stamp one of the cakes, and I will show you how I colored it. So I'm going to ink up my stamp. This, again, is the basic gray. I'm going to stamp it there. And then we're going to bring in 3 colors of blend. So I have the light and dark petal pink, and I have the light calypso coral. Okay, so those are my 3 colors. I'm going to start with my light petal pink on the bottom half, and I'm going to color the whole bottom half except the flower with the light. Okay, now this is such a soft and delicate color. It looks, well, it's very, very light. The first layer is very, very light. Okay, so there is my first layer. Then I'm going to come in with the dark petal pink, and I'm going to color the band at the bottom and just up kind of about the same height as the flower goes, kind of that high. Okay, then I'm going to come back with the light, and I'm going to color the whole thing again, and again that's going to give me that ombre blended look. Okay, so far so good. All right, now I'm going to color the top half. Actually, I'm going to bring in that light again. I'm going to do the same thing for the top half. So I'll lay my first layer down of light, very soft and delicate, and then my dark. Again, I'm doing just the band and going up as far as the flower with the dark, and then coming back in with the light and coloring the whole thing again. Now you see how that basic gray is sitting so nicely and it's not running? This makes me very happy. I love having other options to lay down. Okay, now I'm going to color my flowers. So here I'm actually starting with my dark. Okay, so I'm putting down a layer of the dark. I'm coloring the whole flower in the dark. We'll do them both at the same time. They're pretty small. Then I'm going to bring in my coral, and I'm just going to add some little dabs of the coral. I'm not going to put a whole lot on there. Okay. And then I'm going to come back with my dark petal pink, and I am going to blend that out. Okay, and the coral just blends beautifully with the petal pink. Those 2 colors just were meant for each other. They blend really nicely. Okay, and then the last little touch on this is I took my coral again, and I took the bullet tip, and I just added a little dot of color to each one of the polka dots on here. Okay, just like that. And then again, I'm going to come back with the light, and I'm going to blend that out. And that's just going to soften that down and make it oh so pretty. Easy peasy, right? Okay, so now I'm going to take my punch. Oh, where did I put my punch? There it is. And we're going to pop that cake out. Just like that. Okay, and I will add it to my other 2 that I did ahead of time. So now I have 3 pretty little wedding cakes. And I'm going to build that on my stitch circle. So this again was cut with the Stitch Shapes framelits. Can you tell that I love those framelits? I use them all the time. Just having that little extra stitch detail just adds so much to a card. Okay, so I have 2 of the cake plates that I punched out of silver foil cardstock. Okay, now this one's not very nice, so that's the one I'm going to trim. So I want to show you on my card. So here I have, this is the regular cake plate. Okay, here I have one that I actually kind of jerry-rigged a little bit. And what I did is I just took and I cut the top of the plate off and turned it over. And that became my smaller cake plate. Okay, so they kind of go like this. Now, before I put these on, I need to stamp my Mr. and Mrs. because that's important. I need to know where to put my cakes to make sure I have room for my Mr. and Mrs. So we're going to bring back the basic gray ink, and I'm just going to ink up Mr. and Mrs. This is also from the Piece of Cake stamp set. And I'm going to stamp that sort of to one side on that stitch circle. And then we can go ahead and arrange our cakes. So I always like to sort of place things first before I start gluing things down. So there's one. And then I have my other one. So here I'm turning my trimmed cake plate upside down. Kind of like that. And then my cake is going to go on there. Okay, and they're going to overlap. That's the point. And then this guy's going to go on right here, and I'm going to pop it up. Okay. All right, so I'm going to take and glue these down. Again, using just a bit of Tombow because of the wiggle time. Now, it's important to make sure your cake is straight to the sentiment, right? You don't want your cakes to be cockeyed. And then we'll add a little bit of glue to this guy. And stick him on there. And then we have our little mini cake plate, a little bit of glue there. And we'll pop that, oh, right about there. And our other little cake. That guy's gonna go right, nope, that one's not straight. There we go, it's gonna go right about there. And then this one's gonna go on with a couple of dimensionals. So I'm gonna put one down here and one up here. And pop that one right about there. Okay, cute, right? Very cute. All right, now this is going to get matted on a scalloped circle. This is cut with the Layering Circles framelits, and it is cut from Petal Pink cardstock. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that onto there. This is the largest of the stitch scallops, or sorry, scallop circles, not stitch scallops. There's no such thing. So that's going to go on there. Just like that. Okay, so now I've got my focal image done. So let's assemble the card. Here I have a piece of Whisper White cardstock that has been embossed using the beautiful Country Floral embossing folder. This is one of the Celebration freebies. It's a level 1. I started with cardstock that was 4 by 5 1/4. Now when you emboss with this folder, it does shrink the cardstock just a little bit. Okay, so you won't end up with an exactly 4 by 5 1/4 piece after you emboss it. And then I'm going to take and put a little bit of ribbon on here. Now, you wouldn't think that this Calypso Coral ribbon would work with this color palette, but because it is an ombre ribbon, it actually works really beautifully, and it brings in some of the coral highlights that I used. So I'm just going to trim, this is probably about 4.5, 5 inches of ribbon, and I'm going to lay that across the front of my card, and put a glue dot on the back of one end and on the other. And then we just wrap those around, okay? And that gives us our little band of ribbon. Now before I do anything else, I'm gonna go ahead and glue this onto my card base, okay? So my card base is 4 1/4 by 11, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. I will fold that in half along my score line. And then a little bit of fast fuse. And we'll just pop that onto our card front, just like that. Okay, hi Melissa, how are you? How's your day going? Hope you had a good week. Okay, now this is going to glue right onto the front of my card. Okay, I'm going to use dimensionals again, because why not? Everything's better popped, right? And double popped is even better. I'll put one in the middle, because I like my things to stay popped in the middle. And we'll get rid of the backings. And we'll just pop that on there. And again, I want to make sure my cakes and my sentiment are straight. And then I need to tie a little bow. So, as promised, here is your weekly bow tying lesson. So I'm going to take some of that Calypso Coral ombre ribbon. I'm going to take the ribbon between my middle and index fingers. Okay, I'm then going to pinch the ribbon to make with my thumb and index finger and make 2 little bunny ears. Okay, 2 little loops. I'm going to cross my left bunny ear over the right. Bring the loop around and through and pull. Oh, that did not work so well. My loop got twisted, but I can fix. Okay, so don't be alarmed if when you first tie your bow, it looks awful because that's normal. You have to play with it and tease the bow out of your ribbon, okay? It will not tie beautifully on the first try. You have to kind of play with it, okay? So I'm just adjusting my loops and pulling it tight so they get a nice snug knot. Oh, lucky you, both boys napped. That's awesome. And then I'm going to trim the tails of my ribbon. Okay, and there's my pretty little bow. So to put that on my card, I'm going to take my glue dots and press the knot of the bow onto the glue dot. And then that is going to get stuck right on that circle there where the ribbon comes across. Okay, almost done. Because it's a wedding card, to me, weddings and pearls go together hand in hand. So I thought, why not add a few cute little pearls? Oh, I lost one from my original there. I'll have to pop one on there too. So I love my Take Your Pick tool for this. I use the pokey end, so the little pointy end. This is supposed to be like a paper piercer, but I kind of like it for picking up my little blingy bits. And I'm just going to pop one onto my original because I lost one on there. I'll just put that back on there. Okay. Now, the last step on this, I don't know if this shows on, can you guys see the sparkle on the background on this one, on my original? I took and put some Wink of Stella on here because, you know, a wedding card needs to shimmer, right? And as Tanya says, it's always a good idea to add bling. So all I did is I took my Wink of Stella. Once I had everything sort of on there, any of the raised embossed pattern that was showing, I just took and I applied some Wink really quickly. I wasn't really careful. This is just to add a little hint of shimmer. If I wanted it to really shimmer and sparkle, I could have used some of the shimmer paint, but I didn't want to overshadow those pretty cake images. So I just wanted to add a little bit of shimmer to my embossed images here. Okay, and we'll just add a little bit up here. I have no idea. I don't think that Wink of Stella shows up really well on the camera when I'm videoing. I've watched a couple of my videos where I've applied Wink and it doesn't really show, which is too bad because you guys aren't getting the full blingy effect here. But when you make one of these at home, you'll see what I mean. Okay, so that is that. Now I'll just again show you quickly what I did on the inside of this one. I just stamped another sentiment from the piece of cake set. It says, "May your love grow sweeter with every passing year." And then I stamped one of the little hearts, and then I just colored it again in that sort of ombre using the 3 colors. So I laid down the light petal pink, I laid down a little bit of the dark petal pink sort of halfway up, and then I just added a little hint of the coral at the bottom and blended it out with the light again. Okay, really quick and easy and pretty wedding card. All right. Okay, those were three quick projects, right? If you like those. I'm just going to bring in all 3 again so you can see just how versatile this stamp set and punch are. Okay, so there is our 2 birthday cards and our wedding card. Okay. All right, everybody, that's it for me for tonight. I hope you have a great weekend. Again, I apologize for not getting on Tuesday, but believe me, you would not have wanted to listen to me. I am feeling better and excited for March break, and I hope you have an awesome weekend. And if you are on March break, enjoy. Okay? Thanks, everybody. Have a good time. Bye-bye.